Pay for play pardons. This, I gotta admit, this really upsets me a great deal, and where we are at as a country and a society. I remember years ago playing playing the song "Romancing the Stone" by Eddie Grant on the program, comparing some of the things that were happening in this country to the third world, and we just keep heading in that direction. And again, this is both sides. Both sides. It wasn't that long ago where, again, the right, Republicans, Trump supporters were very upset with all of the pardons that were issued, thousands of pardons that were issued by Joe Biden. And it's gross. But I guess in a tit for tat, Trump wants to be equally as gross. I want to share with you one here, and I challenge anybody out there, any of you super duper MAGA Trump supporters, to support this. I haven't even gone on to X and listened to some of the paid Trump supporters and influencers online, whether or not they've even sounded off on this. This gentleman by the name of Paul Walczak, it was awaiting sentencing this year. The only thing that avoided that was he would have to get a pardon. He is a former nursing home executive, pleaded guilty to tax crimes days after the 2024 election. He submitted a pardon application to Trump around Inauguration Day. The application focused not on Mr. Walczak's offenses, but also on the political activity of his mother, Elizabeth Fago. Ms. Fago had raised millions of dollars for Mr. Trump's campaigns and those of other Republicans, the application said. It also highlighted her connections to an effort to sabotage Joe Biden's campaign in 2020. Remember the daughter, the Ashley Biden diary that was out there? The application argued that his criminal prosecution was motivated more by his mother's efforts for Mr. Trump than by his admitted use of money earmarked for employees' taxes to fund an extravagant lifestyle. No pardon was coming. Didn't hear anything. Then all of a sudden, Ms. Fago was invited to a $1 million per person fundraising dinner last month at Mar-a-Lago. Less than 3 weeks after she attended the dinner, Trump signed a full and unconditional pardon. Now listen to this. Mr. Walczak, he's never gone to prison, okay? This pardon spared him from having to pay restitution, okay? He stole millions. He was ordered to pay $4.4 million in restitution. He doesn't even have to pay that back. And from reporting to prison for an 18-month sentence. And the judge that had justified the incarceration declared there is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for the rich. Well, Judge, you're wrong, okay? There is a get-out-of-jail-free card for the rich. Again, the White House said that he was targeted by the Biden administration over his family's conservative politics. No, he wasn't targeted. He was guilty. This guy dropped out of college, joined his mother's nursing home business. They sold it. Then they invested money in a new nursing home venture in South Florida. By 2011, Mr. Walczak was running the company. He stopped paying the employment taxes, collected the taxes, employment taxes, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. He kept them. He used that money to buy a $2 million yacht and to pay for travel and purchases at high-end retailers, including Bergdorf Goodman and Cartier. He was charged in February 2023 with 13 counts of tax crimes. Again, I can go on here with the fundraisers that they ran and whatnot. If I was asking the president a question in regards to this, or what her name, Carolyn Levitt, how do I explain this? If I've got kids, how do I explain this to my kids that this is okay, that we're equal under the law, that if you do the crime, you're supposed to do the time, unless, of course, you can cut yourself. Well, you cut a check to a prominent politician. Again, I recall the controversy. It was a major controversy when Bill Clinton was leaving office. If you remember Denise Rich, she wasn't even married to the guy anymore. Her husband, Mark Rich, was in Switzerland, and he got in trouble because he was trading oil with the Iranians, something to that nature. And that was a big deal. I thought pardons, correct me if I'm wrong, were to, show sympathy on people that might have been in jail for a long period of time, that showed that they had been rehabilitated or maybe had too harsh of a sentence or whatever it may be. These are people that are not even doing any time whatsoever, not to mention the fact they stole money and they're wealthy and they're not even being asked to pay it back. Again, I'm asking the question out there, how is this okay? It's not. It's not. I wrote a piece several years ago, and again, this had to do with basically problems with our country and how we were heading in the wrong direction. Obama was president at the time. It was called Wasted Talent. And I used a line from the movie Bronx Tale. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And, I was talking about undue regulations and whatnot. But I love to, look at history. And history, again, that doesn't always repeat. But I brought up the history of Rome. Again, Rome, like the United States, was conceived as a stand against a monarchy. Both nations were very suspicious of concentrated power and authority. The United States and Rome established republics that enshrine checks and balances, separation of powers, and the protection of the individual with certain rights held sacrosanct. This is the recipe for success. This is why we're here today. Take a good, hard look around us. This is one of the reasons why we are the wealthiest nation ever. Now, again, little Emirates and whatnot. But anyway, the greatest advances in individual liberty led to prosperity without precedent in world history. The history of classical Rome lasted 1,000 years. The first half was a republic. The second was an imperial autocracy. The conditions, events, and how they transformed from one to the other is frighteningly similar. And again, this is a column that I wrote about longer 10 years ago. And I cited a gentleman by the name of Lawrence Reed from the Foundation of Economic Education. He had an analysis of what happened to Rome, and he calls it the 3 most stubborn lessons of history. Number 1, people who lost their character, kept their liberties. Are we accepting this? If this is okay, this is something that people of great character would do. I would argue not. Power that is shackled and dispersed is preferable to power that is unrestrained and centralized. And the here and now is rarely as important as tomorrow. Reed explains that character embodies the trait of virtue. In Latin, the word is virtus, meaning courageous honesty. This trait was the end-all, be-all of early Roman society. Early traits of character that were stressed in early Rome were gravitas, dignity, benevolentia, which is goodwill, pietas, loyalty and sense of duty, and simplicitas, citas is his candor. And he writes, here, I'm going to cite him. The connection between character and liberty is powerful. Liberty, by which I mean rule of law, respect for and protection of lives, rights, property, and contracts of others, is the only social arrangement that requires character. No other system, especially socialism, asks much of you other than to keep quiet, pay your taxes, and go get yourself killed when the state so directs. The absence of character produces chaos and tyranny. Its presence makes liberty possible. Rome rose from nothing and it sustained itself as a great entity for centuries because of its strong character. Rome went from a republic to an empire when they eroded that. One could argue we're eroding that. WatchDog on WallStreet.com.